What is right action that will meet everything in our lives? What is right action that will meet everything in our lives? First of all, let's examine together how we have broken up action. There is the political action, social action, religious action, idealistic action, action based on some experience theory. So our action is broken up. Business action, family action, sectarian action, the local action of the parish, the action of the lobbyists who are interested in their own particular safety or the safety of a particular investment, and so on. They're all broken up actions. That's a fact, that's true. And there is also personal action based on one's own will, one's own anxiety, relationship with another. So our existence, which is our daily life, is totally broken up. I wonder if one is aware of that at all. Or we just drift from one action to another. Go off in the morning at 9 o'clock to the office that has a particular action there. Come back home, and that's another action. I wonder if one is deeply aware of this fact, that our life is broken up. Carefully departmentalized. The surgeon, the carpenter, the priest and the politician, and we are the layman with our own action. So if one realizes that one's life is actually broken up into various departments of actions, contradicting probably each other, insufficient in themselves from each other, and trying to integrate all of them together, which most of us are trying to do, that becomes impossible, this integration. You can't integrate two opposites. I don't know if it is. Yet that's what we are trying to do. So far, if one realizes, actually perceives or aware that one's life is broken up, then one asks, is there an action which is whole, not broken up, such action is applicable to everything that you do? I wonder if you're following this. Are we together in this? That I realize my life, if my life is broken up, I realize it's broken up. I know too that it cannot be integrated. Integrity is something entirely different. So I ask myself, is there a life, not superficially but deeply, is there a life that is not broken up? Is there a life which is not pursuing an ideal and which means also broken up? If I am violent and I have the ideal of not being violent, I've already broken it up. I don't know if you follow this. I've already divided my life. So I realize the ideal is futile. When I'm violent, why should I have the ideal of non-violence? I know this is one of the things that have been brought up from India, this adoration of non-violence, politically, religiously, and all the rest of it. And I've discussed this point with, the speaker has discussed this point with the originator of in India. And it's so impossible to talk to people who are deeply rooted in some prejudice. Or they call idealists. But the fact is, any form, any division, any sense of breaking up one's life will inevitably bring about conflict. That is, if I am violent, I do not need the ideal of non-violence. But I am violent. What is important is to understand that violence, see the cause, and the perceiving the cause is the ending of the cause. It's like a surgeon sees that I have some disease, he says it must be operated, and it's finished. Similarly, if I am violent, to see that I am violent, discover the cause, and that cause can be eradicated, obviously. But if I pursue the idea of non-violence, I am moving away from the fact. The ideal is not fact. I don't know. The opposite is never the fact. What is factual is what is happening now. If I'm violent, I face it. I look at it. I go into it. I see the cause of it. I see the cause is the thinker who thinks he's violent. I don't know if you follow all this. No, I'll have to explain this a little bit. Is violence different from me? Let's go into it slowly, we'll meet each other. I have this sense of anger, if I have. Anger, violence, first of all, let's define what is violence. Violence is anger, hate, anger, imitation, right? Conformity, obeying, all that is part of violence. And I happen to be violent, suppose. And I see, by looking at it very carefully, the causes of it. Step by step, I see it. And I do not know how to deal with it, to eradicate the cause. So I invent the non-violence as a lever to get rid of violence. Right? So I'm escaping from the fact, from a fact to non-fact. So I stop that movement when I realize I'm escaping. Then I see I'm violent. Is violence separate from me? Or I am violent? Violence is part of me, like anger is part of me. Greed is part of me. Suffering is part of me. Anxiety, pain, depression, loneliness is me. But thought has separated the me from violence. I don't know if you realize. So I'm always acting on violence, suppressing it, rationalizing it, finding excuses for it. But when I realize the thinker is the thought, right? The observer is the observed, then the division comes to an end. And where there is division, there must be conflict. So please follow this. I have totally eliminated conflict. You understand? I am not separate from violence. But I have been educated for generations that I am separate. And my habit, my condition is to fight violence, which is part of violence. So I realize the observer is the observed. The experiencer is the experience. I don't know. So I realized that. So I've eliminated from my mind the whole idea, concept, habit of conflict. Which means, are you doing this with me? Which is to remain completely with that word, the word violence, and the remembrance of past incidents which brought violence. The word is the remembrance, the picture, and that picture, that symbol, that word is me. Right? Please, this is logical. Saying, look at it. This is me. And so I stop, the mind stops acting, but remains with it, doesn't escape from it. So when you remain with something entirely, completely, with all your attention, the thing disappears completely. So one eliminates altogether violence. But if you pursue non-violence, you'll never end it. Because you are, in the pursuit, you are sowing violence all the time. I wonder if you understand. So the question asks, what is right action? We said there is right action only when we see that we are broken up, our life is broken up, and from that awareness, one asks the question, is there a life which is not broken up? Living in this modern world, can I live without different contradictory actions? Is he going to the office? coming home, being a surgeon, coming home, scientist coming home, you follow? All broken up. And the cause of all, and the result of this contradictory, broken up life will inevitably bring violence, strain, heart failure, the whole circus. So we're asking, is there a life which is whole? Not what is right action, but can one live a holistic life? That is, when I go to the office, I am always the same. You understand? When I come home, I am what I am. I may be a good carpenter, a plumber, a technician, but I am living a life which is whole. Do we understand each other? When there is that wholeness of life, that itself is right action. Do whatever you do out of that is right action. There is no right action per se, but there is right action when I realize the broken up, contradictory life which is, or with all its complications, that very realization brings about a perception of the whole. Is this happening with you now? For God's sake. That's why, sirs, you may listen to the speaker for the next 100 years, but if one doesn't actually realize as we are sitting here together, the action of intelligence is holistic. And that intelligence cannot be cultivated. It isn't a thing you go to school and learn to be intelligent, or become sensitive by going to college and being told how to be sensitive. But if one sees the actuality without any desire to alter it and fuss around with it, if one sees actually what is happening, that very perception is intelligence. And out of that intelligence is always right action. I don't